Welcome to the Bright Muse. This is my Bright Muse today. This is Chad Hauser, and Chad is the founder of Café Momentum. Chad, can you tell us a little bit about what Café Momentum is?
Well, Café Momentum is consistently ranked as one of the top restaurants in Dallas, and we take a lot of pride in that.
Yes.
Because it proves that our staff can and will rise to whatever level of expectation is set for them, as long as we're giving them the tools and resources and opportunity to do so. And that's because our restaurant is a 12-month paid post-release internship for young men and young ladies exiting Dallas County juvenile detention facilities.
Wow.
So essentially, we're taking kids out of jail and teaching them to play with knives and fire.
Yes. That's just like my parenting. That's so great. So you have interns, you said, from the Juvenile Detention Center. And as they exit that, then they get to come into this program. One
of the things that you learn about the kids is that they're survivors. And every day is a day-to-day survival. And when you live your life just surviving every day, and somebody gives you a life raft that you believe and trust in, the first thing you do is grab the people you love and pull them up on that raft too.
So what incited this idea?
Ice cream. I think, isn't that where all good ideas come from? Ice cream. For me, it was, I was actually volunteered to go teach 8 young men inside a juvenile detention facility how to make ice cream for a competition at the farmer's market. And when I met these 8 young men, I realized the moment I met them that I had stereotyped them before I'd ever met them. And for me, that was an incredibly humbling experience because I thought I was a better person. But when confronted with it, quite literally right in front of my face, I had no choice but to admit that that was not the case. And working with the kids, I think that type of humility or that humbling forces you to quit talking and just start listening. And I'm grateful for that because I listened. I listened to these 8 young men talk about their lives. I listened to them talk about their past, their present, their future. We made ice cream. 2 days later, they're competing against college culinary students, and one of them actually won the whole thing.
I love it.
Just in the short time that I had spent with him and 7 of his peers and listening to their stories and understanding what they were going through, realizing he was never going to make it to Wendy's or Chili's. And when you really boil it down to the basics, it's because of choices that were made for him before he was ever born. And whether it be the color of his skin, the socioeconomic class he was born into, the part of town he was born into, the schools he was born in district-wise, resources he had access to, grocery stores, healthcare. And I just self-reflectively was thinking that I'm a product of that exact same system. But the choices that were made for me before I was born were incredibly more fortunate and privileged than what he was given. But the thing that kept resonating in me was I didn't do anything to deserve that. I didn't earn it. It was handed to me. And I didn't like living with the feeling of knowing that I was handed something that others weren't. That the playing field should be level, and that we should all focus on doing whatever it takes to make it so. And so for me, that left a choice. Either you can take this epiphany that you've had and work with it, or ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, walk away and live your life. And I just didn't want to. I couldn't do that. So what are some of the issues that these interns are facing the moment they walk into your place? Well, let's start with basic needs. 62% of the kids that we've worked with since we opened the restaurant have been homeless. And then for a lot of them, homelessness means abandonment. It means they're literally on their own. So they're trying to figure out what floor they're going to sleep on every night.
And the ages, by the way.
15 to 19.
15 to 19, yeah.
Most every one of them comes from a neighborhood that is one of 40 in Dallas that have been federally recognized as a food desert. So they don't have access to groceries at grocery stores, or even the resources that surround a grocery store. Right. They don't know how to engage and advocate for health care. They have no ability or understanding to get a government-issued ID, which is needed for pretty much everything now. So they're walking in with all of these obstacles that we've presented, and then there's further, a lot of them come from trauma. Trauma can be from stuff that's happened with family, stuff that's happened in their neighborhood, and even stuff that comes with being of color in our country. You know, being judged by the color of your skin, and you know, I don't think that we know a lot of times what it feels like, because it's an experience we'll never have.
Right.
To walk down the street and have somebody clutch their purse, that sends a message to a child that I don't like you.
Yeah.
And the child's thinking, I've never even done anything to you, but now you've told me who I am. So they walk in with all of those things, and our objective is to provide a nurturing, stable environment that allows them to begin to pull in those resources like healthcare and housing and food, but also address some of the mental trauma they've gone through, and learn you know, begin a healing process.
So it's a lot more than a restaurant, and interns at a restaurant.
It is a lot more than a restaurant.
Holistic care.
Holistic care, yeah. The revenue from the restaurant accounts for about 40% of the overall operating budget of the organization, and I think that's like, I kind of halfway joke that the restaurant accounts for about 40% of what we're doing with and for the kids.
Yeah.
The other 60% is, you know, case management. We have a psychologist and curriculum coordinator and education coordinator, and a whole team that's working literally 24/7 to provide stabilization and help to build a foundation for the kids.
You have chosen the road less traveled. So in 2007, as I've heard you say, you were at the top of your game. You owned your own restaurant. And then your world was shaken up a little bit by this pivotal point with this young man and the ice cream contest. So what is it about you that continues to take this road less traveled?
I think, honestly, if I was going to boil it down to just something very simple, my mom.
Yeah.
My mom is the greatest human being ever in the world. She's the most kind, selfless, giving person. I would say, in a very simple way, my mom.
Wow. Are you listening to this, kids at home? Shout out to the mom. You have this humility about you that it's really hard for a lot of us to get to that point when we see something uncomfortable, or we see we could go this path in life and maybe keep that, you know, easy restaurant that's all to yourself back in 2007 that you owned, or you could go this way. A lot of us tend to shy away from that. What makes you keep continuing on that hard place that is really dismantling of the ego? To
start working with the kids in juvenile detention, and then to realize that as you know, the good liberal as I thought I was, I had stereotyped them, and not, you know, and to begin to kind of unpack that and force myself to unpack all of those things. But I'm at peace because I realize that I would rather be uncomfortable than ignorant. And so I'm just going to keep unpacking.
I think you're a fighter, as that's clearly seen through wanting to fight for these kids. You said that you have cameras set up in the restaurant.
Yep.
17?
17.
And in your words, what's the purpose of those cameras?
To catch lying customers. A lot of people think that we have the cameras in there to catch kids doing anything. The restaurant's been open for 4 years. We've had 0 incidents in 4 years of any intern stealing a phone, a purse, a wallet, money, anything. I would say that's probably the lowest incident of any restaurant in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But I can promise you that we've been accused more than any restaurant in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex of having purses stolen, wallets stolen, phones stolen. So the 17 cameras are there to exonerate our kids and prove that, no ma'am, you walked out with your purse. No ma'am, you put your wallet in your purse. No sir, you put your phone in your back pocket. Where it went after that, I don't know, but I have it on video that you put it in your back pocket.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Don't be that customer, by the way.
Don't be that customer.
We want you to come to Café Momentum, but don't be that customer. Or at least don't say that you know me. So yes, you're a fighter. You're a fighter for these interns. What is it about you that makes you such a fighter for these?
My former board chair, she said, you have this ability to just listen to people tell you you're going to fail, no, you can't do it, and you just let it brush right off your back and you just keep going. And I said to her, that is the nicest way anyone has ever told me that I'm stubborn. I think it's just stubbornness.
How did you remain unfazed by people telling you this isn't going to work? I mean, at the very beginning stages of setting up Café Momentum.
Yeah, I remember being on a phone call with a potential landlord, a building that we were looking at, and he said, I'm just going to cut right to it. You know as well as I do, what are you going to do when those kids stab each other in the kitchen? And I was like, well, sir, I think this conversation's over.
Yeah.
Because you are just one of those people. But I don't know. I think just working with the kids, it's like somebody's got to believe in them.
Yeah.
And why not me?
Yeah.
Because they deserve to have somebody that believes in them.
Cool.
And I think that was always my passion.
Awesome. Well, I know you think you're a regular guy, and that's fine. You can think that, but I think you're incredible. And I just love people like you. We need to clone you.
Again, I think you would have some that would argue, for sure. I'm a pretty regular guy.
Well, thank you so much, Chad. How can we support Café Momentum?
Come to eat at the restaurant. We are open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for dinner. I highly recommend reservations. The more that people come and dine, the more that you're actually affecting that change in the kids.
Awesome. And what about donations? Can you give donations?
Yes, we are a nonprofit, and you can go to the website cafemomentum.org and donate all you want to. And when you do come and eat at the restaurant, we do not accept gratuities; we accept donations. So, on your receipt, instead of gratuity, it actually says donation, and it is a tax-deductible donation. The IRS kind of doesn't like for you to write off, say, that the food and services that you got, but in lieu of a gratuity, you can leave a donation, and it is a tax write-off.
Awesome. All right, thanks, man. This has been fun.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being my bright muse.
Anytime.
Yeah.